The housing market, folks, is in real trouble, but it's not the same trouble everywhere. It's really zip code by zip code. For example, if I look at an area such as Cambridge, Massachusetts, that's right, Cambridge, Massachusetts, I can see that in zip code 02140, home prices are down 6% since last year. So year over year, prices in Cambridge, Massachusetts, Harvard University down 6%. What's more is if I look at the number of homes for sale right now, they have 25% more homes on the market than they did in 2019. But again, it's zip code by zip code. Check this out. If I look at an area such as 64116, which is in Kansas City, Missouri, inventory is down, not up, but down 40% since 2019, down 40% since 2019. And if I look at home prices are up there 13, nearly 14% since 2022. So home prices are not falling there. They're still going up. But if I look at another zip code, and this one will blow your mind, a big Airbnb zip code, 37862 in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville, Tennessee. If I look at prices, look at this, crazy, down 17% since 2022. And look at inventory, the number of homes for sale. This is really going to blow your mind. Look at this. This is not good. Big trouble here. Inventory there, folks, up 160% since 2019. Again, depends on what zip code, right? One more example. Look at this zip code, 43040, Marysville, Ohio. Shout out to Patrick Cooper, who requested this one. Down 4%. Down 4% in active inventory versus 2019. So they have fewer homes for sale here in Ohio versus pre-pandemic. And look at home prices. If I look at the prices since 2022, they are up 12% since 2022. So, folks, it really comes down to the fact that they're different markets, different risk, different trouble. So that brings us to really the only question that actually matters. Is your zip code at risk? And that's really all you care about, right? You care, hey, where I'm looking to buy, where I'm looking to sell, where I live, what's happening with the housing market. And that's what we're looking at today on the Housing Nerd, folks. We're looking at zip code by zip code data. And I want to hear from you. So drop your zip code in the comments with your city, and we're going to pressure test what's happening with these national headlines. Is everything fine? Is the market crashing? Are demographics and the silver tsunami taking over? Is the Airbnb market finally crashing the housing market? What areas are down? What areas are up? We're going to look at it all today on the Housing Nerd. So my name is Jason Ferrier. I am the Housing Nerd. I've been a realtor and investor here in Central Ohio for going on 8 years, 8.5 years almost, it seems like. So I'm not here to BS you. I'm here to help you navigate this crazy housing market. And I'm going to pull the data. We're going to look at it together and find out what's happening zip code by zip code. So drop that in the comments below. Depending on how many we get, super chats will get a priority, obviously. Depends on how many we get. I don't know. We may not get many, but usually we get a lot. So if you are really trying to figure out what's happening in your local housing market, this video and this live is for you. And we do this every week. If you have a friend or a family member that has a housing market problem, like they're like, man, my housing market's falling apart. I got prices down. I got inventory up. Text them, email them, send them smoke signals, whatever you got to do. Get them on this live so we can look at the markets that are not only good, but the markets that are bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm going to be transparent. We're going to look at zip codes. I'm just going to dive into it. So none of this is really pre-planned. I don't have a lot of zip codes planned out. I got a few that people have requested, but I want to do this on the fly. And even if it's not your zip code that we're looking at, it's going to provide you some good context for what's happening and how different these housing markets are. And then if you have a question on the housing market, we could do that too. But anyway, that's what's happening. Oh, did I do my disclaimer? I don't know that I did. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a normal guy that likes housing market data and likes helping people. So let's get into it. Who has one for me to look at? Let's see. There was one right at the beginning. What's up, Manny? Thanks for joining us early. 60016. Let's look at that one. All right. Bring up my screen. So for this, by the way, I'm not using median home price. I'm using the Zillow value index, basically from the 35th to 65th percentile, taking out all the high-end homes. People complain about that all the time. They're like, hey, nerd, stop using median sale price. Fine. I'm not using median sale price today. I'm using the Zillow value index, which Nick Gurley uses and many other people use as well. So John Brooks down in Florida uses it. So that's the one I'm gonna look at instead of median. I think Melody Wright uses median home price. I'm not going to use that because you all have told me it's no good. All right. 60016. Let's do it. Where is that exactly? What city is that in? I don't know. 60016. Oh, Illinois. All right. Here we go. First one, folks. First one on the dock. First, we'll look at inventory. Then we'll look at home prices. Well, inventory in Illinois overall has not been good. Again, we're looking at this zip code by zip codes because I want to pressure test all these headlines. Even my headlines, right? I mean, as a YouTuber, you got to put out these goofy headlines, these goofy thumbnails, right? Market crash, collapse, all this stuff. We're going to pressure test this today and find out what's really going on. Inventory. All right, Manny, inventory of homes for sale down a whopping 61% since 2019. So you've got 60% fewer homes for sale than you did pre-pandemic. That's not good if you're a buyer. I mean, look at this. You got 59 homes on the market right now. By the way, this is as of the end of January or the beginning of February, I guess. This is the most updated data that Realtor.com gives us. And then Zillow is what I'm using for the actual price data. So 59 homes. If I go back in time, look at this. In 2019, you had 150 homes on the market. Shoot, during COVID, you had, 60 homes? So you have fewer homes than during COVID. That's nuts. Don't see that in many locations. So yeah, active inventory through the bottom there. Let's look at home prices now. Year over year, home prices are up 4.3% in zip code 60016 in Illinois. And then if I look at since 2022, you're actually up 20% since 2022 in home prices. I see no reason why prices would fall apart there based on this. We just don't. I mean, if you need more inventory, you ain't got it. Sorry, you ain't got it. All right. Wish you did. I don't see a lot. I mean, are they building a lot of new homes there? Probably nothing affordable, right? Man, it's a condo. Oh, my bad. All right. Sorry, dude. I didn't see that. I can look at condo info on the prices. Let me look at condo. Sorry. 60016. Okay, different story. Look at this. Condos, where you are in that zip code, up 1% in prices last year. And I can't look at just inventory of condos on here, but I can look at prices. So home prices since 2022 for condos up 20%. Oh, my bad. That's let me see how they have this. Oh, okay. So typical condo value, we'll look at this one. $216,000 is the typical condo home value. Now, it looks like you're basically, I mean, you are at an all-time high for condo prices there still. So I haven't seen there's not a big drop in condo prices, but that price growth is slowing. So you're only up 1% or so versus that 5% or 4.3% for the single family house value. So the price growth isn't as high, but you're still at an all time high. And unfortunately, I can't pull just condo listings. I don't have that broken out on here, unfortunately. So we do know that inventory's down for for single family houses. I don't know if the inventory's down or not for condos where you are, but I do know that prices haven't collapsed. So you would think inventory is still sparse. Usually, if you have a lot of inventory, right, you'd see a lower home price. Anyway, sorry for missing that earlier, but that's what's going on with condos. Okay. Oh, and then you want to buy here 60133. All right, we'll look at that one. 60. Is that right? Yep, 60133 is where you want to buy. And you're buying a house, right? Okay. Slip that in there. All right. 60133 still in Illinois. Let's look at home. Well, let's go back and do inventory first because you're looking to buy there, right? So from the sell side, unfortunately, I can't help you with inventory on the condo if that's what you're trying to do. But on the buy side, if it's a house, we can look at that. So active inventory of homes down 54%. No surprise in that zip code. That's not good. Obviously, if you want to buy, there's probably fewer choices and higher prices. Now let's look at prices there where you're wanting to buy. Up 3.3% year over year. And since 2022, up 17%. So it's almost like you're selling and buying in the same situation from this quick overview of the data, but you're going to have to probably dial it in on that, from a neighborhood level, even because zip code only goes so far. But overall, it doesn't look like prices are collapsing in either zip code, and it looks like inventory is low in both of them. So thank you, Manny, for that. All right. Oh, and you're selling a 3.25% rate. You're buying a 5.4% interest rate on your house. You're just looking to get into a house, huh? Maybe so. Can you rent out your condo? Can you do that? I don't know. May want to consider it. Maybe you can. A lot of condo places you can't. What's up, AZ home seller? How are you, Lisa? Good to see you. All right. And if you can, give me one zip code, not two, unless you're like looking to buy and sell for some reason, right? Let me move the screen here. It's kind of in my face. 33160. And I'd like to know where that is. So I'll just Google it. You know, make me do the work. And give me a thumbs up if you came on the live. That'll really help the algorithm. Obviously, share it with somebody you think would benefit from this. We're going zip code by zip code, folks. I'm not messing around with this sweeping statement today of the housing market. North Miami Beach, great. That'll be fun to look at. Uh, okay, 33160. Why is it not zooming in for me? There we go. All right. Way different housing market here, right? Look at this. Well, those are condo prices. Those are in the toilet. Let's look at inventory in Miami. Inventory. Wow. Down. I'm surprised by this. Down 27%. 27% since 2019. So there are fewer homes on the market right now versus 2019. I mean, in Miami of all places, right? I would not suspect that at all. All right, now let's look at active inventory count, see how that's doing. Active inventory count, yeah, I mean, you're building. You can see the inventory is building there. You got 1,858 listings right now. Let's go up to prices. Wow, look at this. Prices down 6.7%. So this is an area where actually you have fewer homes. Let me go back 1 minute and look at before I continue. I just want to look at the year over year inventory. Okay, year over year, you were up, but only up 3.5%. Look back last year or in 2024, you had a lot more inventory growth. You were up like 47% in 1 month in the number of homes for sale. So while you still have fewer homes than 2019, the inventory is growing. And maybe that growth has caused prices to fall because prices are now down 7% there year over year. Let's look since 2022. How are they? Yeah, they're down 5.5%. Down 5.5%. So while this is an unusual one, again, zip code by zip code. I mean, in 20 versus 2019, you have fewer homes for sale. Generally speaking, that means you have higher prices. But in your zip code, that's not happening. You have lower prices. Maybe because the number of homes has been growing so fast, right? If I look at this active inventory count, look, during COVID, you had like 1,000 homes approximately, right? In 2022, you had about 1,000 homes. That was the bottom or near the bottom. And then you started rising rapidly to the point now where you have 1,800 homes on the market. So not quite back to pre-pandemic levels, but the inventory is increasing. So that's translating into lower home prices. Yep. And they've been down for a while. Let's look at the typical value there. I wonder how expensive homes are. I forgot to do this with Manny. But typical home there, $1,148,000. That's not an all-time high. The peak was back here in 2022 at $1,214,000, 215 grand. So you were off the peak, certainly, right? Off it by $60,000, $65,000. Again, different markets, folks. If I just look at home prices in that area year over year, you can kind of see what's going on, right? If I zoom out, it's all red. Look at that. All red, except one little zip code here. And this is from a year over year price standpoint in Miami. Same on the Gulf side of Miami. Or on the Gulf side of Miami, Gulf side of Florida. Look at this. I mean, there's a couple little zip codes down here. Well, those are just gray. There's one little one with an increase, right? Or is that gray too with no data? It doesn't have any data. So everything's down on both coasts of Florida and most of Florida, honestly. If you zoom out a little bit, look at this. Most of it's down, right? Year over year in prices. The pain continues in Florida, but it definitely is zip code specific. So thanks for suggesting 33160 Miami. Got another one here from Ohio. Napoleon, Ohio. Daniel Kosmiter. How you doing, Daniel? 43545. And do me a favor, folks, hit the like button. Share the video while we're on here. It'll get more people involved and help push it out. Easy way to help the housing nerd. 43545. Hello from Ohio, by the way. 43545. Home prices there up 5.8%, nearly 6% year over year. I love going through these because it really shows you the differences in these markets. It really does. If you're a housing nerd like me, you're like, man, this is nuts. These the difference in data, right? And since 2022, your home prices are up 15, nearly 16% in Napoleon, Ohio. Now let's look at inventory. How are you doing with inventory? Since 2019, you're down 32%. No shocker there. Active inventory, though, is up 25, nearly 26% since last year. So you have grown inventory, right? You're adding more homes to the market in the last year, but you're still undersupplied from, if you compare it going all the way back to 2019, down 32%. So if I look at an active inventory count, you're not going to have that many. It's probably a smaller market as far as transactions go. But yeah, like before the pandemic, going back to 2017, 2018, 2019, you had like 29 homes, 24 homes, 25 homes, 28 homes. Now you only have 17. So it doesn't seem like a big difference, but to a buyer trying to buy there, it probably is. And that's why prices are continuing to go up probably. Because that's that's near Toledo, right? That's where we are, kind of that Toledo area. That's what's happening in Napoleon, Ohio. All right. And by the way, let me do this. You know what I forgot to do for you? I forgot to look at the typical value. My bad. I will right now. In other words, how much are homes there? I forgot to do that. Here we go. Typical value in Napoleon, Ohio. $204,050, not Miami, obviously, but that's an all-time high. So you've hit a record all-time high home price in Napoleon, Ohio. I see this all over the state, by the way. I have an All Ohio channel. Did you know that? I did a live yesterday doing the same kind of exercise, but just for Ohio only. So that's the Ohio housing nerd. And I obviously just Ohio stuff. So check that one out. But yeah, look at that all-time record high home price in Napoleon, Ohio, of all places. Higher for longer in OHIO. All right, now let's do the next one. Who's up here? Let's see. What's up, ET Blackbeard? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us again, as always. What do you got? 48858. You guys are like Ohio representing, right? Is that in Ohio? It sounds like it. Oh, it's Michigan. My bad. Huh. You're probably like, no, Mr. Buckeye. I'm just kidding. I love Michigan. 48858. Inventory down 54% since 2019. You've got 54% fewer homes for sale than 2019. Crazy. How'd you do year over year? Okay, you're up 12% year over year, but let's look at the count. How's the count? Yeah, look at the count. You only got 75 homes on the market right now, as of the end of January anyway. During COVID, you had 56, 61. So you are gaining homes, but still not enough yet, probably. Back in January of 2019, you had 162. In January of 2017, you had 201. So you've just lost inventory, basically. Let's look at prices. How are they doing? Up 4%, 3.6% year over year. So versus last year, you're up 3.6, which honestly is normal for a lot of housing markets historically. 3, 4, 5% growth, that's normal, right? It's not normal to have 10 like we did during COVID. How about since 2022? How much are you up? You're up 9% since 2022. And we use 2022. People go, why is that? Well, because that's when a lot of areas peaked. That's when a lot of areas that are now declining rapidly saw their peak of home prices. Ohio doesn't fit that mold, and neither does Michigan, because the Midwest and the Northeast in general have seen prices continue to go up, not caring about, other areas where they're crashing or prices are falling rapidly. Let's look at the single family value. Where are we at now? $214,000. That's an all-time record high in Michigan, 48858, all-time record high home price. Again, I'm not pre-planning any of these. So if you're somebody out there who really is convinced that every market is crashing and that inventory doesn't matter and that, the Midwest is falling apart, right? If you're somebody who believes that, get on here or share your zip code, share the zip codes. Let's look at them. Not hiding anything today. Not that I ever do, but people think I do. So we're going to dispel those myths quickly. But that's what's happening in Michigan. Next one. AT. I'm just going to call you AT. Hemasuk. Is that how you say it? 97219. Sounds West Coast to me. 97219. Put the city in too if you can, because that way I can at least know what I'm looking at. Oregon. I was just looking at Oregon yesterday. Portland, Oregon. We got it. Portland, Oregon. Active inventory versus 2019, you're down 39%. You've got basically 40% fewer homes than you did before COVID on the market. Now, generally, that leads to that leads to higher home prices generally. We'll find out if that's the truth. Active inventory year over year, you're down 12%. Wow. So you've lost homes since 2019, and you've lost homes versus last year too. That's not normal. Active inventory count. How many you got? You got 83. Last year you had 95. Wow. Every year you can see the spike in inventory. Like this shows us the number of homes on the market. And you can see September is like your peak of inventory. Then it falls like every single year. It's like clockwork. Look at that. All right. What's happening with prices? Wow. Look at this. Prices down, not up, down 2% in 97219. And they haven't really been doing well at all ever since the beginning of 2023. Like they've been kind of down, maybe up a little. They have to be down since 2022. Let's find out. Yeah, look at this. Home prices down 6%. So in some areas, it looks like in this zip code in Oregon, really interesting. Like even though you have fewer homes for sale, your prices are also falling. I don't know. You have to tell me what's happening with that. Maybe they're really expensive homes. Maybe they're overpriced. Maybe they're junk, like they need a ton of work. I don't know. But it's kind of completely counterintuitive to what we usually see, which is fine. That's why we look at this stuff. Your typical home value, $632,000 right now. That's your typical value. That's in the 35th to 65th percentile, not median home price. It's not that. They're taking out all the high-end homes that skew that median number. And they're taking out all the low-end homes that would skew that median number, typically. And now they're going, all right, what's the normal house go for? They're saying $632,000, basically. That's not an all-time high, though. Like this, let's see. You hit 643 back in early last year, and you hit 673. That looks like your all-time high back in July of 2022. So I wouldn't say you're crashing by any means, but the prices aren't skyrocketing upwards anymore. If you are buying, probably a good sign that the prices are falling. But I don't know if you have great choices or not. You know, I don't know if that's what's going on. All right. That was 97219. What's next? Jason, two Jasons make a right. 44256. Let's look at that one. Where's that? 44256. Making me do all this work. Medina. I should have known that. There's a lot of people that come on here from Medina, Ohio. Another Ohio city. That's fine. 44256. As a reminder, I do have an all Ohio channel. I mean, you're welcome to come on here too. But just as a heads up. And do me a favor, if you come on, hit the like button. That's your only ticket to ride. And share the video with somebody. Again, I want to look at markets that are falling. That's what I really want to look at. Markets where prices are falling and it's complete chaos. So if you live in that market, or if you have a friend or family member that lives in a market like that, tell them to get on and share their zip code. 44256, Medina, Ohio. Inventory down 64%. 64% since 2019. Like, the inventory there is like destroyed. 65 homes on the market right now. You had 35 homes during COVID. Look, before COVID, you had 179 homes. So you just got a fraction of the homes that you had before COVID. That's not good. Let's look at prices if you're a buyer, right? Prices up 3.5% year over year. And you're at an all-time record high home price, $372,235. Actually, 373, 352 is your value. And that is an all-time record high home price. Homes have never been more expensive in Medina, Ohio, zip code 44256, than they are right now. Higher for longer. Low inventory, usually, unless you're in Portland. And probably other markets are the anomaly, but generally speaking, lower inventory, higher prices. That's what we're seeing in many parts of the Midwest, including 44256. All right, next. What's up, Mark? Think current trends are not showing what may be coming. Okay. How many small credit companies are now folding? The auto repo is not near all-time high. Things are going to flop. I don't know if you're just messing around or not, but like, yeah, I know there's always things, right? Like, anything's possible. Shoot, I mean, anything's possible. It's crazy how long the auto market has like sat there in disarray, right? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like there's been impending doom there for like 5 years. I mean, how are people affording $1,500 a month car payments? Like, those are the people that aren't buying homes, by the way, probably, right? I actually, it's funny. I've spoke to a few mortgage loan officers recently. It's hard to get one on the channel that is going to be transparent. That's a challenge. Like, most loan officers seem to be in the camp of like, well, I don't want to exactly say everything that I'm seeing, and rightly so. And it's confidential. I don't want them just to lose their license or anything. But a couple of them have told me off record, basically, that they've hinted that the people with auto debt like that are not buying homes. No surprise, right? No surprise. So if you've got 2 loans right now for auto and credit and buy now, pay later, and you're, you doing Uber Eats every day, and you've got 25 subscriptions, and you go, you've got to have the latest iPhone, and You've got $1,000 a month car payment. Your head's probably not in the right space to purchase a property. Your priorities are other places. So this could collapse. I'm not saying it's not. But right now, we're reviewing the current data. Give me your zip code, Mark. Where are you? Are you in Missouri? Can't remember. Give me your zip code. Let's look it up. Let's find out what's happening. I think spring will be really show what's coming. Obviously, spring will bring in more activity. I mean, it's going to bring in more sellers, hopefully, more buyers, right? Because prices may come down. So they're like, all right. Or if they don't, there'll be more choices, hopefully. We need more choices. Inventory's horrible. I am going to break, I'll probably change direction maybe here in 30, 45 minutes, and we'll look at the latest Redfin update. I mean, just as a yearly or as a national overview. But yeah, spring should reveal more. I do know that I've heard that foreclosures are going to be a big problem by Q2 of 2026. That's in like a month. So the deadline's quickly coming for the people that said foreclosures will be exploding by then, because we're not back to pre-pandemic levels on foreclosures yet. So we got about 30 days to add, 500,000 foreclosures. Evil Morning 44240, thumbs up given. Thanks. Do you have an actual schedule you keep for screaming? I do sometimes, but today I deviated because I want to just dive into these zip codes to really try to help people with their local market. 44240. But I usually do. Oh, you mean on timing? Depends on a client. If I have clients that need attention, then I will prioritize them, obviously. And today's one of those days. So I went a little early. But usually Thursdays, I do these lives around noon or 1 o'clock. Inventory of homes for sale in 44420, right? Is that the one you wanted? Oh, no, 44240. Oh, what the heck? There we go. 44240. And that's like what? Youngstown? Is that where you are? Like the Youngstown area? Inventory of homes for sale, 44240, down 37%. 37% since 2019. What in the world? Yep, that's true. Year over year, you're up 26%. Thank goodness. But let's look at your home count. You got 31 homes on the market right now. Back during COVID, you had 13. Before that, you had 46. But look in January of 2017, 92. This is one of these big trouble spots, big risk areas I see in the housing market this spring for many markets, including a market like yours, Evil, because you had 92 homes on the market in 2017, and you were losing inventory before COVID. Then COVID hit and the bottom fell out. And now you're just barely struggling to get back to that pre-COVID level of inventory years later. That's the big problem. You just lost so much inventory even before COVID in a place like Ohio. And it hasn't really changed. It's gotten worse. Prices up 4% there. Basically the Youngstown area, right? Up 4% since last year. And if I look at your typical value, am I going to see another record high? Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Look at this, 235,429. That's a record price, all-time high for 44240. Homes have never been more expensive. Lack of inventory, mainly because of new building. Ohio has nothing when it comes to new building. I mean, we have some, but people here think we have a lot, but we don't. We have nothing. And that's why we're struggling. Most of Ohio's stock is very old. Versus a place like Florida or Texas or Arizona, right? So all-time record high home price where you are. Will that continue? It It's going to until you get more inventory. It's going to till you get more inventory. All right. So that's what's going on there. Let's do another one. And thank you for support, Evil. Kyle Rooney, what's happening? 37037. And just a reminder, hit the thumbs up for me and share the video, especially if I helped you. If I helped somebody on here, share my video, subscribe to the Housing Nerd, all that good stuff. 37037. Let's do it. 37037. We're pressure testing the market today, folks. Pressure testing the crash headlines, pressure testing the cheerleader headlines. If you think I'm a cheerleader, if you think you're a realtor, so prices only always are up. Well, throw me a zip code where prices are down. I'll talk about it just like I talk about the ones that are up. I don't care. I just want to give you the info. Inventory. See, look at this. Inventory in Tennessee, 37037. I opened up with Gatlinburg. I hope you saw that. And Pigeon Forge, where Airbnb is getting destroyed, it looks like. Since 2019, in your zip code in Tennessee, 37037, inventory's up nearly 80%. 80%. You've got a lot more homes for sale. I mean, you don't have a ton of homes anyway, but they have increased. 50 homes on the market right now. Last year, you had 46. And during COVID, you had 16. That's an explosion of inventory. You're nearly back. I mean, you're approaching like historical levels of inventory. If that continues, probably see lower prices. Down 0.7%, basically flat from last year in prices. And are you down since 2022? Probably a little, or maybe flat, basically flat. So you are flat since 2022. Home prices really haven't gone anywhere. Up a little bit, down a little bit. Now they're down just slightly. But I wouldn't expect that they're going to go up anytime soon if you continue to add inventory like you are or like you have been. What's the typical value of a house? Typical value of a house, definitely not an all-time high, 399,446. Your all-time high was like right through here, 405. What about this? Yeah. So your all-time high home price happened like right in here early last year, in April, March of last year. Now you're 399, so you're about 5,000 off of the all-time high, meaning home prices have fallen in the last couple years a little bit. I mean, if you want a market that's going sideways, look at this. It's just basically sideways, not really up or down a ton. Just a boring market. And that may happen for a long time, especially if your inventory remains high. Prices may just stay high, may go down a little bit, but they're probably not going to go up meaningfully, I wouldn't think. It's not a crash, but it's not an absolute, but obviously not going up anymore. So if you're buying in a market like this, you probably have some selection and some sellers that are like, shoot, I need to sell my property. You'll know those people because they'll leave them on the market and they'll keep dropping their price until somebody wants it. So if you're buying, disrespectful offers, see a lot of houses, don't be afraid to ask for concessions. Take your time, be patient. If you're a seller, make sure you price that home right. Make sure you price the home right. You probably don't have a ton of leverage right now in the market, right? Okay, that's 37037. Thanks for suggesting that one, Kyle Rooney. Got another one here. What's this one? 29414. 29414. All right, let's do this one too. If you're joining us, folks, we're pressure testing the zip codes throughout the U.S. Wherever zip code you're in, is your zip code at risk of a housing market decline, or even at risk of how home prices going up more? Well, put your zip code in your city, and I'll get to it. We're going local today. 29414. South Carolina. All right. If you could put your city in too, that will really help me because I'll kind of get familiarized with the market. Charleston, South Carolina. That's what we're looking at, huh? Charleston, South Carolina. Inventory there down 33% since 2019. So you have 33% fewer homes for sale than you did pre-COVID. Generally, that means prices are higher. Generally, although we saw today in Portland, that wasn't the case. We had fewer homes and prices were actually lower. Year over year, you're up 30% in the number of homes for sale. So you are gaining inventory. How many you have? You've got 142 at the end of January. That's what it came in at, 142 homes. Last year, you had 109. During COVID, you had 34. Definitely a change in inventory. If you go back in time, look at this. In like January of 2019, you had 212 homes. So you're getting there. Not quite there yet, though. Let's look at prices. How are they doing? Down they're down 0.2%, basically flat. Looks like they've been flat now for a few months. Let's see how they were doing since 2022. Since 2022, you're still up 10%. In other words, if you go back to 2022, measure from then to now, typical home value is up 10% in your zip code 29414. But you can see that growth is slowing. And this is your typical value on a house. How much are they? How much are the typical homes? And I wish I could make this larger on the screen, but I can't. The map software that I use from Resi Club doesn't allow me to do that, unfortunately. $276,000. $476,000. $477,000. Is it an all-time high? Let's find out. No, it's not an all-time high at all. It looks like you hit an all-time high back here in 2024 or so, right? I mean, you're close to it, off by a couple $1,000. So you're within a couple $1,000 of your all-time high. Obviously prices are not crashing, although they're not going up much anymore either. They're kind of just sideways right now. But you can really see that growth during COVID. Look at this. During 2019, before COVID, typical home there in South Carolina, in Charleston, was $287,000. That's the typical house. And then 1 year later, it was 293. The year after that, it went to 317, then 381. Wow. So in 3 years, it went from 287, all the way up to 381. Went up $100,000 in 3 years. Goodness gracious. A lot of markets did that. And now it's just kind of hanging out there at the top. It's like bouncing around at the top, right? So if you're buying there, right, you are seeing more homes on the market. Good. You probably have more choices, certainly than you did with 34 homes during COVID. That was ridiculous. So take your time. Look at a lot of houses. I mean, don't set a deadline for yourself to buy. Set your parameters. Then when you find the parameters, then you buy. But don't rush to buy. And if you're selling in a market like this, you probably have more competition. Price the home correctly from day one. Don't go in too high. If you enter the market over your skis on pricing, it'll sit. It will sit. And you have to cut the price even more. All right. That was South Carolina. Cool. Thank you. Ooh, neat. Okay. Yeah, we already did this one, right? 33160. That was Miami, right? We did that one. Okay. Oh, Charleston inventory is non-existent. I can't see it going down. 29414. That's what we did, right? It looks like there are more homes for sale, though. but you're saying it's non-existent. Maybe on what you're trying to buy, this doesn't show me that. Like if you're buying like a $1 million home, it's not telling me how many of those are. And if you're trying to buy a $200,000 home, it's not really telling me that either. That's a very localized piece of info that you're going to have to get from a local realtor, generally speaking. You could track it on Zillow yourself. You're just going to have to be crafty and go in every single day or week or month and really dissect the listings. But on a price breakdown standpoint, providers that I'm using don't have that. But I'm curious why you're saying there's nothing for sale, because it looks like you are adding homes. Are you seeing prices go up there? I'd like to know. So that's what's happening there. All right. Orchard Park, New York, Buffalo. Sweet. Been looking for almost a year. Okay, let's do this one. I need gave it to me. 29414 is the zip code. Give me a thumbs up, folks, if you come on. Oh, I already did this one, didn't I? Oh, yeah, Charleston, I already did this one. Sorry. I need the Orchard Park one. Right here. 14127, Orchard Park, New York. 14127. Stay tuned. I will do a national update later in this video, depending on how much time I have. How much time? It's almost 12:30. Okay. I will try to get to a national update later in the video. Inventory in Buffalo, New York. Can that be right? I guess it is. Down 70%. You have 70% fewer homes where you are. I can understand why you've been looking for a year. That's probably very tough, I would guess, right now. I mean, this is insane. You've got 26 homes for sale right now. Back during COVID, you had 18, so you haven't improved much. And look at this. Before COVID, you had 88. So you had 88 homes in 2019. Now, only 26. Wow. Wowee. Not a lot of selection, I imagine. Home prices, what are they doing? Up 5%. No shocker with inventory levels to that, when you don't have anything for, available. Supply and demand, folks. 5% higher home prices than last year. Let's look at your typical value. Typical value, not a shocker. Wow, homes are expensive there. $409,000 in zip code 14127. And that is Orchard Park, New York, suburb of Buffalo. That was very helpful, the way you put this, by the way, so I can really understand it. Thank you. Yeah, everybody learn from L Fitch 54 on how to put the city and stuff in, because that helps me a lot. All right, $408,000, $409,000. It's an all-time record high home price. All-time record high. You're setting this record, by the way, in winter. Now, I know it's cold a lot of the time in Buffalo, right? I get that. But the point is, like, this isn't normal to see a record high home price in winter in most places. That's when prices usually go down, like seasonality, as Locked Up Larry likes to call me out on all the time. I wish he would jump on these lives and let me look at his market. But $409,000, and it's an all-time record high. Like, homes have never been more expensive there. So if you're looking for a house, you've been doing it for a year, short of trying to move somewhere else or just pay what people are asking, which I'm sure you don't want to do, you're going to have to look off market probably. Like, you're going to have to go find a fixer-upper, or you're going to have to go into the expired listings, right? The listings that people are, where people pull them off the market, or they, expire completely. Maybe they're too embarrassed to list them again. I don't know. If you're working with an agent, have them pull all the expired listings. I don't want to step on their toes, because I'm a realtor too, and I wouldn't want somebody telling me what to do necessarily, but just a suggestion, right? Go into, the expireds and say, what are all the houses that have expired over the last 3 years, over the last 5 years? Contact those owners. Are you interested in selling? I mean, you could, theoretically, you could get that expired list from your realtor and look up all that information using a website like PropStream, PropStream. Find the owner info and then mail them a letter and say, I'm interested in. The other thing is you want to drive by the house to make sure you want it, right? You don't want to waste your time and money on mailing letters to houses you don't want. So make sure you want the house by driving past it. Like, hey, that one looks interesting, or that one's on a good lot, or it's in the area I want to buy in, and pay particular attention to the ones that need work. Then write them a letter and say, I live in the area, or I want to move in the area. I'm just a regular homeowner. Are you interested in selling? Here's my number. And you'd be shocked how many people respond. You'll get letters or you'll get calls from people that tell you to leave them alone. You also get opportunities if you do it enough. Do that every single month. Every single month. The other thing you can do is drive around the area you want to buy in, look for homes that are distressed or like, hey, there's a bunch of cars in the driveway, Christmas lights in July, weeds in the summertime are growing, nobody plowing, right? There's no footprints in the snow. Maybe it's vacant. Find out who the owner is, write them a letter, see if they want to sell. It's going to be more difficult in areas that are constrained with inventory like yours. It's going to be more difficult. But that's trench warfare. You're going to have to do that if you want to find something off market in an area with nothing available. You could also look at wholesalers. If there are real estate wholesalers in your market that they're selling off market deals, you could look at that. Scour Facebook, network. Sometimes you can find out about properties that are going to be sold before they hit the market just by networking with the Facebook groups in the area you want to buy in. You're just going to have to do something completely different than what most people do, which is look at Zillow or their realtor listings while they're on the couch, right? Most people buy homes like that. So don't do that. Don't do that. Do what others won't do. But it sounds like it's a really tight market. Anyway, I feel for you. That's Buffalo, New York, all-time high, record high home prices. All-time high, record high. Crazy. What else we got? 78266. Lend to USA. Nice. 78266. How's your business? Are you a residential lender? Texas. Let's look at Texas. Where is it? 78266. By the way, if you want me to pull your zip code, if there's a lot in front of you, because obviously this takes me time to go through these, super chats obviously get a priority. I'll see them at the top, and obviously pay attention to somebody who's willing to donate to the Housing Nerd. But you don't have to do that. You can just leave your zip code in, and hopefully I'll get to it. 78266, and that's San Antonio. Ooh, this one's going to be good to look at. This one's going to be good. All right. So, wow. Completely different than Buffalo, right? Completely different. See, if you're in Buffalo, you want to buy a house for a discount, you go to San Antonio, I guess. 50% more homes on the market than 2019. 50%. So you've got a lot more inventory. Active inventory count, 57. During COVID, you had 9. And now you basically have more homes than you had in 2019, 2018, 2017. Just a lot more homes on the market. I'm sure you're seeing that. How are prices? Prices down, no shocker, down 2% year over year. And since 2022, you're down just 1% since 2022. So it looks like the decline has kind of just started. Let's look at single family value. Yeah, look at this, $564,000. That's not an all-time high. It's not. Back in 2023 or so was your all-time high. back in 2023, 581 grand. Now you're at 564. So yeah, you've lost 17,000 bucks. Prices will probably still continue to creep down there, I would think, as long as you keep adding homes for sale. That's the key, right? You got to add more homes than people are buying. And right now, that looks like it's what's happening in San Antonio, Texas. 78266 zip code. All right. Thanks for suggesting that, Lynn to USA. Daniel, you are welcome. I'm glad to be of service. Okay. According to Altos data, here in the zip code of Fresno, I'm looking inventory has increased to 119. Even more crazy, a HUD home popped up. Haven't seen those in a minute. I welcome more inventory. Yeah, I remember you've been looking for a house for a while, right, Juan? You're going to see more foreclosures, folks. You're going to see more. So when I rag on people who are like, you know, by quarter two of 2026, you'll see massive distress. I rag on people like that because I'm like, why would you say that? Like, if you look at the inventory trends and the equity position and the delinquencies, and you talk to an expert like John Comiskey, you see easily that we're not there. That's not what the market is right now. However, that doesn't mean we're not going to see foreclosures, and you will see more. And what Juan is pointing to is a HUD home. So if you Google HUD home store, HUD foreclosures, the housing and urban development uh, department of the United States government has called HUD. They auction off houses where they're being foreclosed on, and normally those are only owner occupants can only buy those. Usually, that could be an opportunity. Depends on where you live, right? How many you'll have, but foreclosures will definitely increase. Make no mistake about that. We will definitely see more. We've suppressed them artificially for so long. You obviously have to. The weird thing is we're still not back to pre-pandemic levels of foreclosures. And people were buying foreclosures, right? Because they want a house. All right. If you give me your zip code, I'll look it up again. I can't remember. There it is. 93730. Let's do it. And Juan's doing a good thing because he's obviously looking at everything, right? He's looking at altos, he's watching the housing nerd, looks like he's looking at foreclosures. That's what you gotta be. You gotta be a housing nerd for your market. You have to be. Inventory of homes for sale is down 34% there. 93730. Just want to make sure I have the right zip code. 93730. Yeah. So you still have fewer homes for sale than you did before COVID, but you are gaining inventory, you said, right? Year over year, you're down versus last year, you're down 2%. Active inventory count, how many you got? 43 homes. During COVID, you had 17. Before COVID, you had what, 66? So yeah, you are gaining inventory, but it's not like a massive amount comparatively. But let's look at prices. Down or basically flat, I guess, 0.2%. And that's Fresno, right? Down 0.2%. So, and you can tell for the last few months you've been down. I'm sorry. For the last few months you've been flat. Let's look at the typical value. Typical value, $639,000. That's not an all-time high. It looks like you hit that last year, 644 grand. So you're off the all-time high, but it kind of has gone back up over the past few, like the past 2 months or so. It looks like it's increased a little bit. Point is, it's not going down rapidly. It's not going up. It's just kind of hanging out here at the top. Range bound, I guess you could call it from a stock term. And it's been like that for a while. If you go all the way back to 2022, it was 637 then, and now 638. So you're right around there. I mean, okay, yeah, 644 was the all-time high last year, right? So you're close, just off a little bit. And inventory there, it does say it's growing, but it's not like you have like a decade high level of homes for sale or like triple the number back compared to 2019. Probably have to just be patient and look really hard, right? Make a lot of offers that make sense to you, and be willing to write a lot of offers and be patient. Patience is one of the best things to have in real estate. Any house I bought that was not, or property or a multifamily that I purchased, um, flying by the seat of my pants and not being patient turned out to be a disaster. All right. Good. What's up, Derek? Derek, C8508067. We got a lot of them on here. I probably won't get to them all. Ooh, Pedricktown, New Jersey, huh? Pedricktown, New Jersey. Ah, come on. There we go. So, New Jersey, just to give you a sense of this, and maybe I should do this moving forward to show kind of the region or area or state. But if you look at just the overall state of New Jersey, inventory is awful there. From a standpoint, there's nothing. Like the entire state is brown. Brown means down, by the way, versus 2019. So, like in Derek's area, you have 67% fewer homes than you did in 2019. Your inventory's down that much. And year over year, look at this. It's down 65% year over year. So you not only have lost inventory compared to 2019, but now you're losing it year over year. I mean, there's not a lot of homes on the market there, but well, obviously we know that, right? Only 5 homes. And if you go back in time, you've had a lot more than that. Number wise, you had 15, I guess, right? 14, 15 homes, 16 homes. So the percentage is going to look large, but make no mistake, your inventory is not growing. And that usually means higher prices. But look at this. It doesn't on this one. Wow. Down 1.8% year over year. 1.8%. But like, look at during COVID where, you were up 21%, 20% year over year. Geez. What's your home price? How they done? Okay. Not an all time high. Thank goodness. $322,000, but the damage was done. In 2019, the typical home there was $192,000. Now it's 322. And again, just like these other markets, it's kind of up down by a few percentage points over the last couple years. But I don't know that it's going to materially go down simply because you don't have a ton of homes. Although with only 15 houses on the market, it doesn't take a lot to change the stats, right? Or I'm sorry, yeah. How many did you have? 15 or 5, something like that. Yeah, 5 homes. So you just don't have a lot of homes, period, right? Not a big sample size. But more homes would probably help you if you're a buyer, and would probably help everybody, make the market easier to navigate. But that could be a market. I don't know that zip code in particular. It could be an area where there's just not a lot of transactions typically, not a lot going on. 08. I just want to make sure the right zip code. Yeah. Man, inventory in New Jersey is just horrible. It's unreal how bad it is. All right. Next one. 67671. What's that one? 67671. Victoria, Kansas. Okay. Going back to Kansas. We did that earlier at the opening. I'll do another one. Wow. Okay. Homes for sale. Number of homes for sale. Down 30% versus 2019 and flat since last year. But I suspect you don't have a lot of inventory, right? Like you don't have a lot of homes usually on the market. Yeah, just a handful. It says you have 7. So the percentages are going to be like there's going to be a wild swing in percentages because you don't have a lot to compare it to. Like when you go from what 7 homes, right? And now you have 7, but in 2024 you had 1 home on the market. So the percentages are going to look wild. I'm not sure we pay attention to the percentages very much. So let's look at typical home value. Yeah, interesting, right? 211,568. It's kind of just steadily gone up. It's just steadily gone up for the last, what, 10 years? And now you're at an all-time record high home price there. 211,568 in 67671. And that is Victoria, Kansas, in Ellis County, Kansas, no less. Homes have never been more expensive. And I would think unless something drastically changes there with inventory, doesn't seem like you ever have a lot of homes on the market. But the prices aren't crashing, right? You can see they're not. They've kind of steadily gone up for the last 10 years. Way different than maybe some of these other zip codes we've looked at earlier. Like in 2019, the typical home was $134,000 before COVID. That next year it went up to 142, then 156. So what is it since 2020? I'm just curious. How much have you gone up? Okay. So you are up since 2020. Home prices are up 43% there. They are. And they don't look like they're changing direction right now anyway. Maybe they continue to go up just slightly if inventory just sits the way it is for you. That's 67671. Some of these markets, they don't have a lot of inventory, like number wise, not that they have a low level compared to historical averages, but if they don't have a lot of numbers, it's harder to analyze, obviously. But I'm trying my best. Hey, you're welcome. You are welcome, AT. Srinivasa. Did I say that right? 43015. I always ask you that, I think, and I always probably say it wrong. 43015. And that is, yeah, that's like Dublin, New California, right? Maybe Powell area. Okay, let's look at that. So you've got 28% more homes for sale than you did in 2019. Wow. Must be some new construction there, huh? I would think. 47% more versus last year. I'm guessing, though, you don't have a ton of homes. Let's find out. Oh, you do. Look, 122 homes right now on the market. That's a lot compared to last year. You only had 83. And then during COVID, you had 36. So you are gaining inventory. Good. You need it. And what about prices? How are they doing? Yeah, wouldn't think prices are down there based on what I've seen on the MLS. 1.2% up year over year. And by the way, if you are in central Ohio, like this area here, like Dublin, Columbus, Franklin County, surrounding counties of that, Licking County, Knox, Morrow, Union County, and you need help, you need a good realtor, hit me up. My info is below. 1.2% year over year home price growth. And you're up 6% since 2022. Typical home value, what do we got? $410,000 right now. $410,000. Is that an all-time high? It looks like it is. Yeah. So you're at an all-time record high home price right now. Oh, it's Delaware, Ohio. Oh, it's Delaware. My bad. All right. Sorry. I was looking maybe a little too far north. So that is yeah, just north of Columbus, all-time record high home price, $410,000. We're seeing a lot of these record high home prices today. Not all of them, but some of them. But some of them. Which tells me the market is completely split, right? We knew that. Thanks for suggesting that one. I appreciate it. Oh, you gave me another one. 43064. Where's that? I'm not going to guess. Oh, that's Plain City. Okay. Let me do that one. 43064. 064. If you're joining us, folks, I've got I'm looking at zip codes today. Drop your zip code, your city, and I'll analyze it. We're pressure testing the narratives. Active inventory in Plain City up 10% since 2019. Year over year, you are up 9%. So you're definitely adding homes. You've got 64 homes on the market right now, 24 homes during COVID. I can tell you, I'm helping some people. I've been looking at homes in Plain City, in Delaware, in Powell, in Dublin, that whole, and Hilliard, helping several clients buy a house up there right now. And it's there's not a lot to choose from. There's just not. I mean, we are seeing more than we did during COVID, but it's nothing like we usually have. Let's look at prices. Prices in 43064, home prices. Basically, I mean, they're up 0.9%. Flat, I suppose you could call it. They're actually down if you think about inflation. So for real prices adjusted for inflation, you're actually down. Typical home value. Is it an all-time high? $543,000. It looks like it is. Yeah. So in Plain City, Ohio, 43064, record price, all-time high. Homes have never been more expensive than they are now. And I see that when I'm taking people out to show them homes. It's like prices just keep going up. They're not up 10% from last year, but they're not down either. Frustrating, right? For many. Okay, that's that one. What else we got? Here's the deal. Here's the deal. 73% of this country have an interest rate under 5%. 23% of those people have an interest rate under 3%. Okay. Half the country losing its employment. Half the country losing its employment. So you're saying are you saying our unemployment rate is going to be 50%? I guess I don't understand that part. But I do agree with you on this first part. Yeah, most people have an interest rate that's low. So they're like, why would I move? And that's what this is all about, right? At the end of the day, it's just a lot of people don't need to move. They don't need to sell. There's not a lot of forced selling. If there was a lot of forced selling, we would see a lot more inventory. I'm going to get to a national update here in a few minutes. I think anybody going to be buying a house anytime soon. I suggest you get a new career because real estate is finished. I think anybody, or you don't, I assume you meant, I don't think anybody is going to be buying a house anytime soon. That's okay. I think faster than I talk anyway, or type like you, I guess. I suggest you get a new career. Yeah, here's the thing, like, I'm going to be fine. Like this, it's not, a lot of people are like, man, prices are going to go down. You're going to be finished. Actually, the last couple years have been the most difficult for a lot of agents. But, if you build relationships, if you treat people right, if you genuinely help them and you don't have a lot of overhead, you don't need a lot of business to make things work. And if home prices collapse, then I'll be busier. I'll certainly be able to add more to my rental portfolio. So I mean, maybe I will have to get a new career. But I tell you what, if it falls apart, YouTube will be better for me. That's for sure. I'll just lean into YouTube more. I mean, more people watch Doom than they'll watch good stuff. So, but I mean, listen, if you're frustrated about the housing market, take it out on me. I have no problem with that. I don't care. I'm crash agnostic. I could care less. Like if the housing market crashes, I'll deal with it. If it doesn't, I'll deal with it. I can't control it. Bro Ken 23523801. Did I look at that already? Oh, sounds familiar. 3801. Sounds like 10. Is it Tennessee? 3801. That's not a zip code. 03. Okay, yeah. 03. But I love you all, man. I like the haters and the non-haters. Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Okay. I've been there many times. Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Here we go. And by the way, Johnny Armani. But give me a thumbs up, man, for putting your comment up here and letting you hate on me. But let's look at Portsmouth, New Hampshire. It's a nice area. I actually know somebody who lives there. What's happening in Portsmouth, New Hampshire? Down inventory, number of homes for sale down 20%. So you have 20% fewer homes than you did before COVID. Year over year, what do you got? Up 25%. Okay. Home price year over year, you are up 3.3% versus last year. So homes a little bit more expensive than they were this time last year. And then if I go to single family home value, wow, homes are really expensive there. $841,000. And guess what? You guys know what I'm going to say, right? All-time record high home price. Homes have never been more expensive in Portsmouth, New Hampshire than they are right now. $848,000. Does it really matter if I round up when your homes are that expensive? So does that mean that prices are going to crash? Probably not. Not with lower inventory, and the trend certainly isn't showing that prices are going down. They just keep going up and up. Now, anything's possible, right? You could have a massive employment problem there and a ton of inventory hit the market all at once, a bunch of forced selling. You need forced selling, folks, to get a housing crash, by the way. We don't have that, especially in a market like Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So beautiful area. Homes are expensive. The Northeast is rough for a home buyer. So the trend's continuing. You can see look at this. Back in 2019, typical house, wow. Typical house was $506,000 in 2019. And now, $848,000. Just for giggles, I want to find out. I'll let this calculation. I want to see what this calculation says. Home prices are up 61% in Portsmouth, New Hampshire since 2020. 61%. Let's look. I'm just curious here. How have they done? They're not telling me. Rat. That's just insane. And they're still going up. So I feel for you if you're trying to buy there. And if you're trying to sell and you're buying there, you're obviously going to be, you're going to have a problem. Not a problem. I mean, if you can do it and you're fine paying the money, then you're not having a problem. But if you're like, well, I need to sell and then move somewhere else in the area, you're probably going to pay a lot more than you want to. But if you're going to sell and then move out of the area, maybe to an area like Texas, or, we saw prices falling in Miami today, Gatlinburg in Tennessee, right? Move to the Smoky Mountains, you'll probably find a great deal. Jeez. Okay. That's happening. Man, oh man. Thanks for bringing that one up. I'm debating. What's up, Cobalt? Are you are you like a COBOL programmer? I'm debating between buying this spring or wait till fall. 45324. What's your opinion? I know I have to make my own decision. Thanks for saying that because you do. 45324. Let's look. Oh, that's down near Dayton, right? Or Cincinnati. Is that Cincinnati or Dayton? It's, Dayton, right? 45324 near Dayton. Inventory down 16% versus 2019. Active inventory year over year up 4%. So you have only 4% more homes for sale than you did last year. Prices, well, let me go back to the number of listings here. Let's find out. Active inventory count. 54 homes on the market now. During COVID, you had 26, 23, 26, right? Kind of bumped around in the 20s. Now you've got more. You've got 54, but look back before COVID, you had 66. And in 2018, you had 101. In 2017, you had 100 and what's that, 119 homes on the market. So in a lot of these Ohio cities and, in other markets, especially the Midwest and Northeast, the number of homes for sale has been traveling down for a while. We were hurting before COVID, and COVID just made it a lot worse. Investors love Dayton. So there's a lot of investors there, I'm sure. It really depends. Let me look at the price real quick, and then we'll talk if you should buy or not. 2.3% up year over year. So home prices aren't falling. That's for sure. And it's an all-time record high. You knew I was going to say that. 199,325. Man, our friend from New Hampshire is probably like, boom, I'll take 4 of them, please. But completely different market, right? You can't compare them. They're the completely different areas of the U.S. But $200,000 is the typical home value. That's an all-time record high home price. All-time record high. Homes have never been more expensive. So the question is, should you buy or not? Obviously, I can't make that decision. You know that. But more than that, it really comes down to what you're trying to do. Are you buying an investment property? Are you buying your forever home? What are you doing? It has to make sense to you financially. It has to be a comfortable move. You don't want to stretch yourself to buy a house. So don't do that. If it's just a matter that you can't find the house you want, even though you're ready to spend the money, then you're just going to have to be patient and or look off market. So in general, when someone says, should I buy now or wait? My first instinct is you're probably not ready because you're asking me and I don't know your finances. So you'll know when you know, and that may come in a form of you find the right house, it kind of falls in your lap. If you look hard enough and long enough, you'll find the right property. You just may have to look off market, look for wholesalers, maybe depends on what you want, but there could be some investment properties there that the investor was trying to flip or rehab and ran out of cash, right? They ran out of cash and that now they're like, oh, I'm ruined. So I'm going to have to, I need to unload this and then there'll be a discount there. Maybe that could be an opportunity for you as well. But whatever you do, don't stretch yourself to buy. Make it comfortable. Make sure you have a ton of reserves. Make sure you're thinking of the home long term. Am I going to have to replace a roof in the next 5 years? Am I going to have to add a heating system? And whatever you do, buy in the right area for you, right? Don't sacrifice the neighborhood, the location, just to get into a house. And don't rush it. You don't have to own a home. There's nothing wrong with not owning a home, right? I don't know if that helped, but that's kind of what I tell my clients. I'm like, it's only a decision you can make, and you need to make it comfortable. Don't extend. Hope that helped, Cobalt. If anyone thinks they're going to be selling houses in the next 2 years, I suggest you get a new career because really, oh yeah, we already said that. Didn't you say that already? Okay. Right. Well, check back in 2 years. I'll be here. Right. Maybe I'm not selling houses anymore. I don't know. Prices will fall 30 to 50%. Okay. Well, some people think it's 38%. Right. I guess it depends where you are. I'm waiting. We just looked at markets where they're at all-time record highs. And we looked at markets where prices are falling. So in some markets, like, what was it? Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, prices are down, what, 17% since 2022? It's not 30%, but it could get there, right? So in your market, Mance, you definitely could see that. I don't know where you live. Hey, Jason, good catch. Good to catch you live today. Could you please check 65809? What's up, ML? 65809. Yeah, let me look at that real quick for you. 65809. Let me look at the time. What time is it? 103. Okay. I am going to do a Redfin update here. I'll do it today in a little while. I'm just trying to calculate my time. Okay. Yeah, I've got some more time. Let's do a few more of these. 65809 zip code, which is in Missouri somewhere. Springfield, Missouri. That's where we are, huh? See, we're going out to all these cool places. 36% fewer homes for sale than you had in 2019. Active inventory year over year down 2%. So you have fewer homes than last year. That's crazy, right? It's crazy you lost inventory year over year. How are home prices there? Home prices up 2.4%. I mean, if you notice, there's definitely a trend with all this, right? There's a trend that's playing out in most of these markets where prices were going up like crazy during COVID. Then they came down to earth and now they're just kind of bumping around. Some markets up, 5, 6, 7%, but not many of them so far today, right? But what's not happening is massive declines in most of these areas we're looking at. So 2.4% increase in home prices year over year. Now let's look at the typical home value. Again, not median home value, typical value. $436,000. Yeah, $436,000. Let me try this. Maybe this will help us. Yeah, this helps a little bit, doesn't it? Look at that. Yeah, change the time or the timeline there. So this kind of zeroes in a little bit more. But you can see over the past few years, prices have kind of just bumped along, barely going up, but they have been going up. And now you're at an all-time record high home price, right? Yeah. So homes have never been more expensive than now in Springfield, Missouri. All-time record high. Man, we keep seeing this over and over again in all parts of the U.S. Well, not all parts. We haven't looked at everything yet, but in a lot of parts of the U.S. 436, 497. Man, oh man. And look, before COVID, you were at 277,000, 278 grand approximately. And now you're at 436. It's like $150,000 increase. And if that's $1 million home, 150 grand, not a big deal. But a $270,000 home, $150,000 increase, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And again, so people will ask me, but we have a lot of people, people will come out and tell me distress is building. The market's going to crash. And I'm like, but if there was distress, there would be more inventory. There'd be more homes on the market. We barely have 1 million homes now nationally for sale. So in a market like Springfield, Missouri, you just need more houses. You do. To get back to normal, you need a lot more homes. Well, not a lot more. I mean, you're at what, 39? Before COVID, you were at like 61. Back in 2017, 86. So you need some more homes, right? Double the amount. It's it is what it is. The numbers, I'm just here to present the data and help you navigate it. But prices haven't been down at all. Like there hasn't been a month where prices have fallen year over year, going all the way back to 2013. Look at that. Not one month where you've had a year over year price decline since then. In other words, every single month, homes have continued to be more expensive than the previous year, every single month since 2013. Wacky, completely wacky to think about that. All right. Thank you for bringing up Missouri. Show me state, right? Right. I did Plymouth, New Hampshire. That was nuts. That market. Phew. Oops. I'm seeing everything went up at least 200,000 in 3 years. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. A lot of areas have. It's completely bonkers. Yeah, prices are super high for an 1,800 square foot ranch. They're well over $500,000. And which market was yours again? Let me just look back here. So I have some context. Oh, Charleston. Okay. Yep. You got a 5.5% interest rate right now. That's what you've qualified for. It's not bad. It's coming down. Hearing 5.5, huh? I've heard 5.6 lately. Is that with any points? I don't know if that is or not. Jeez. I mean, interest rates are coming down. I'm wondering if we'll actually see some actual, more buyers come in because right now, or even more sellers would be nice too. That's what we really need. Oh, okay. Look at this one. Frederick, Maryland. Yes. Fountain Racing. 21703. Yeah, let me look at Maryland. We haven't looked at that yet. 21703. And I will get to the Redfin update. I will get to it. But reviewing the important stuff first. Inventory down 41%. 41% since 2019. No surprise. In the East Coast, a lot of markets have fewer homes for sale, active inventory. You're actually up versus last year. You got more homes, 87% more homes. But what's your inventory count? Yeah. So you don't have that many. So a few more homes is going to change the percentage a lot. But nonetheless, the important thing is you are adding homes, 59 homes now. You had 14 during COVID, right? So you are adding some inventory. Price is now basically flat, right? Down 0.8%, right? And they should be during this time of year. I mean, we've all, like in the East and Midwest, you've had horrible weather. So theoretically, we should see, lower home prices, especially the affordability and everything that's been going on. You would think that, home prices can't keep going up forever. They don't in most cases, unless you're in Missouri, I guess. We just saw that. Let's look at single family value. What do you got? Your typical house, six, $424,000. It's not an all-time high. You hit that like back in 2024, approximately. You hit an all-time high. Now, $424,000. So not crashing, just again, kind of going sideways. Let's look first at the 2019 level. Where were you? You were at $290,000 in 2019. And now you're at 424. So it's gone up, what, $134,000 on 290? Pretty big increase. Let's shrink this down. Shrink down the timeline to see it a little more clearly. Yeah, so since you kind of peaked in since the end of COVID, I guess, it's kind of drifted sideways. But it's not crashing. Not crashing. I would say the increase in homes for sale over the past couple of years is starting to, make an impact, as it should, right? As it should. All right. I can do a couple more and then I'm going to do the Redfin update. Let me look for one here. Oh, you're welcome. On Orchard Park. Yeah, that wasn't that Buffalo market is tough. Ah, I just moved to Ohio from Connecticut. Welcome to Ohio. Looking to buy in Muskingum or Perry County. What's your thoughts on these two areas in the near future? Thanks so much. I mean, those areas are they have added homes on the market. Like people are there's more inventory in both those areas. And I'm very familiar with them. Uh, but there's not a lot of new inventory and there's not a lot of new homes, particularly well in both counties. Perry County is much more like undiscovered unless you're moving to Buckeye Lake. But yeah, Perry County is much more country, I guess you want to call it. A lot more small towns, even though Muskingum County, Zanesville is the biggest town, and that's not a big town by any means. But hit me up. My info's below, and we can have a more in-depth conversation about what you're looking for, because I can probably help you. So hit me up in the description on my email or call. I'm happy to help. But welcome to Ohio from Connecticut. I can tell you this: a lot more homes for sale here than there are in or there is in Connecticut. So your inventory situation is much better, and prices aren't as high. All right, I got a couple here. They're pretty interesting, I think. Yeah, let's do this one. Queens, New York, 11377. Let's do it. 11377. And if I helped you or you're coming on, do me a favor, hit the like button, share the video, helps get more people involved. Inventory. Look at this. In Queens, New York, you've got 118% more homes than 2019. Holy cow. But you're down versus last year. How many homes? Okay, 120 houses now. Back. Look at this. You've continued to, this chart is wacky. I don't see this very often at all. Like you had 46 houses on the market in 2017, in January of 2017. Now you've got 120. So like over the last, what, decade, you've continued to add inventory. You haven't lost it. The trend is up. We don't see that very often. Most of the time, we're seeing inventory higher than drop during COVID, then come back up after COVID, but not you. So this one is definitely a horse of a different color, as they say. What's up with home prices? Wow, up 3%. So you have more homes than you. Your trend is up on the number of homes, but you've got your prices are actually up 3.3%, and they were down a lot, like during 2023, 2022, 2020, even. That home price growth stopped. Actually, it stopped before COVID. COVID made home prices fall. What's going on there? The weird thing is, you have an all-time record high home price now of $1 million. Homes right now, homes have never been more expensive. Right now in 11377, Queens, New York. Wow. $1 million. They've never been more expensive. Boy, I'm stumped on this one. Like, haven't seen many of markets where inventory has continued to climb for the last decade. Almost like, I mean, COVID probably affected it, but just not in the way it did in other markets. Although prices haven't fallen apart, they've continued to go up and up and up. Sheesh. I'm going to research this one more later on. That is so go ahead and put in the comments if you're still around what's going on there? Like, is that normal? Is this what you're seeing? Homes more and more expensive, more inventory. Maybe it's all like inventory that needs 100% rehab, which is possible. If that's the case, then it makes sense, right? You just keep adding more fixer uppers, and most people can't afford them, to buy them and fix them up. Maybe that's what's happening. So, like, I guess that's the city, right? Inside the city, there's mixed stuff going on with inventory, but then as you go out to Long Island, it's all brown, all down from a inventory standpoint. Okay, but yeah, that was an interesting little venture there. All right, this next one, 92126 Mira Mesa, San Diego. Got it. 92126. Let's just look overall at the market and see what's happening there. And then after this one, I'm going to do the Redfin update for everybody. So they have that. People want that. 92126. 92126. All right. Mira Mesa in San Diego. Active inventory up 10% since 2019. How many do you have on the market? You've got 61. Last year you had 40. So you are gaining homes. Good. Back during COVID, you had 16. So you definitely have more. Actually, right now, you have for January, it's a decade high level of homes for sale, right? Completely different than some of these other zip codes we looked at. Home prices year over year down 4.6, nearly 5% in Mira Mesa. And let's look at the home value, typical home value. Now, $1 million. You peaked at 1,084,000, right? 1,084,000 bucks. Now you're at, what's that? 1,025,000. So you've lost 60,000 bucks. What's interesting is if you look at 2019, your homes were 632,000 bucks there for the typical home value. And now they're over $1 million. Home prices have exploded there since COVID. Goodness gracious. Wow. Wowee. And then look, this is nuts, not to rub salt in the wounds, but look back in 2009, the typical home value in Mira Mesa was $379,000. And then it just kept going, basically up steadily. But boy, COVID did not help. That just wrecked you. And then you actually went down in 2023, but then right back up to an all-time high. Now you're falling and now kind of drifting sideways in that channel. So, I mean, prices may soften more slightly. Maybe they go up, but you're not, I don't know that there's an inventory issue there comparatively to like when everything fell apart in 2008. I don't have the inventory there in 2008. Realtor.com doesn't share that. They keep that locked down. So I can only guess inventory was a lot worse than it ever has been from a supply standpoint. You had more homes on the market than ever in 2008, which is probably what caused that massive decline. Homes dropped from 544,000 all the way to 379. But if you had bought at the height of the GFC back in 2006 or so at 544, And now your home's worth $1 million if you had just stayed put, you just rode the wave. I think many people have done that. A lot of people stay put in California because of the taxes, right? All right. But thank you for talking or asking me about Mira Mesa. Hey, what's up, Christine? Summit County, Ohio. Well, you're not giving me a zip code, but since I know you're a great supporter of the channel, so let me just look real quick. Summit County, Ohio. Inventory down 43% since 2019. Year over year, up just slightly 1%. Home prices are up 4% year over year. Not surprising. I'm guessing you're at an all-time high home price. This is just a guess. You are. So $214,000 is your typical home value, all-time record high home price in Summit County. My take is, Christine, that unless magically all of a sudden a bunch of homes appear on the market, you're going to continue to see a rise in prices. You just will. Unless there's all of a sudden people are forced to sell their homes, which right now we're not seeing it. So your prices aren't going up 10% anymore a year, but they're still going up. And now you're at an all-time high record price. Homes have never been more expensive in Summit County, Ohio than they are now. Wow. Okay. I'm going to do thank you for everybody who submitted your zip codes. We will do this again next week, but I'm going to share this and do the Redfin update before I go so that y'all can understand what's happening nationally. And those that watch this afterwards can skip to this. Everything's time stamped. And this is the Redfin update for the week. Home buying affordability improves as mortgage rates fall to the lowest level in over 3 years. Mortgage rates are down. They are down. But tell me, you comment, are homes more affordable? I know somebody that thinks they are, and it's somebody who lives in a big white house. I'm not saying they're right. That's just what they think. The weekly average mortgage rate has dropped to 6.01%. That's the lowest level since September 2022. And that's pushed the median monthly housing payment down $2,600 to $2,600. And that's 2.6% lower than last year. Wages are nearly 4% higher than they were a year ago. The uncomfortable truth, folks, is there's a good possibility that we continue to see home prices kind of just bounce around up, down, a little bit here and there. And then eventually 2 years from now, people will be like, oh, homes are more affordable now because wages are higher and home prices haven't increased as much, right? That's the goal, I think. Home buyers have gained $34,000 in purchasing power since last year when rates were sitting around 6.9%. Falling rates may bring some house hunters out of the woodwork. But for now, a lot of would-be buyers are staying on the sidelines. You're going to see that in a minute when I show you the national data. Pending home sales dropped 5.5% annually during the 4 weeks ending February 22nd. Demand, folks, is awful. Not a lot of demand in the housing market overall. Overall, not a lot of demand. Even though rates have come down and affordability is improving, prospective buyers have faced some headwinds since the start of the year. One, home sale prices are still rising. They're up 1%. That's true, year over year, counteracting some of the progress made by falling rates. Two, some Americans are jittery about economic uncertainty, including concerns about layoffs in the stock market. Three, winter has been unusually cold and snowy in many parts of the country. That's true. It's been a rough winter here in Ohio and kind of the East, but there's always economic uncertainty. I don't remember a time in my adult life where there wasn't economic uncertainty. Was it a bird flu or COVID or an election or a midterm or a black swan or a white swan or a purple swan or a credit crisis or a buy now, pay later crisis or gold or silver or something, right? Auto crisis, student loans. There's always been a crisis. So that's not new. Nobody wants to go out and search for homes in Snow Creek, says Patricia, a Redfin premier agent in Arlington, Virginia. Severe weather has hit demand hard. We're also still feeling the effect of the federal government layoffs. People who lost their jobs were not in the housing market, and people who still had their jobs were worried about getting laid off. But those nerves are easing, are they? I'm starting to see house hunters, especially affluent people with solid jobs, get serious about their search. Well, no kidding. You have to have a solid job to find a house or to buy a house now, right? There's competition for fixed up houses in desirable neighborhoods. She's right about that. She's right about that. Like houses that are dialed in, move in ready, they move. They do if they're priced right. Okay, leading indicators of the housing market. Daily average 30-year fixed mortgage rate, 6%, near the lowest level in 4 years. We know that. Mortgage purchase applications down 5% from a week earlier. So rates are lower, but fewer people applying for mortgages. Comment, tell me why you think that is. Up 12% from last year. More people applying compared to last year, but fewer compared to a week ago, I guess. Google searches for homes down 4% from a month earlier, but up 13% from last year. So people searching in Google is a good indicator of home buying demand. Not as many people are doing it as last month, but more people than last year. Touring activity up 17% from the start of the year. At this time, last year was up 17%. So it's basically up the same amount of people. For people looking at houses, like actually touring homes, basically it's flat for the year over year. So the same amount of people out searching, going on tours, open houses and whatnot than last year. There's a reason for that, I think, and I'll show it to you in a minute. So now we're going to look at the key metrics: pricing, demand, and supply. Pricing, $380,000 is the median price. During our zip code exercise, when I was analyzing your local markets, I was using Zillow, typical home value, not Redfin median. This is the Redfin update, the weekly update they do. And they use median. So they're saying the median sale price, $380,000, but that's up 1% year over year. So that has not crashed. We're still up. We still have not fallen year over year yet. Even Zillow has us up slightly. Your median asking price has not crashed, $415,000. Median monthly mortgage payment, we already talked about that. Here's the big one. Out of this national update, there's a few things that stand out you have to pay attention to. One of them, pending sales, 71,991 homes. That's down 5.5% from last year. It's fewer people putting homes in contract than last year. That's the biggest decline since January of 2025. You know what's worse? New listings, 80,595. That's down 2.8%, nearly 3%. That means there are 3% fewer people listing their home for sale. This has nothing to do with delistings, rage quitting, none of that. This has nothing to do with that. This is just people listing their home to begin with on the market. If there was a lot of distress, folks, I hate to tell you this, like people do not want to hear this, but it is the way it is. Right now, the way we sit in the housing market is that people in general do not need to sell their home. That's why new listings are down. Think about this. They're actually lower than they were last year. Not up. And because of that, look at this. Active inventory, barely over 1 million, down 1.8%. That's the biggest decline since December of 2023. So like from a national end, we have fewer homes for sale than we did last year. We have fewer new listings and fewer homes for sale. What does that tell you? People don't need to sell, and people aren't rushing to put their house on the market. If they were in distress, if they had to sell their home, if they were like, if I don't sell this home, I'm going to lose it. If I don't sell this home, I'm going to go bankrupt. If I don't sell my Airbnb, if I don't sell my rental, if I don't sell my inherited house, if I don't sell my investment property or my beach house, I'm going to go bankrupt. If that was the case nationally, if it was a systemic contagion of spreading distress, because every market's different. We looked at some today where prices are falling and there's a lot more inventory and people are desperate to sell probably. But overall, if that was the case, you would see more homes for sale. We just don't. It is what it is. So that was I think that's the big stat that you need to look at. On a metro basis, if you look at all the top 50 metros and you look at, the biggest, basically the most populous US metros, prices declined in 15 of the top 50. That means 35 were up year over year. 35. And the biggest losers, San Francisco, Newark, Milwaukee, Warren, Michigan, Philadelphia. The areas where home prices increased or decreased, the most: Oakland, West Palm Beach, Dallas, Sacramento, Boston. And we looked at a Boston one right off the bat, Cambridge, right? Where Harvard is. That's down. That little zip code there is down. Inside Boston. Pending sales, where are homes going into contract the most? Milwaukee, West Palm Beach, Jacksonville, Portland, Montgomery County, PA, Sacramento, and Denver. That's where I guess, buyers are the most active. Where are buyers the least active in the U.S.? Of the top 50 metros: Oakland, Houston, Nassau County, New York, Nashville, and New Brunswick. New listings, where are we adding more new listings than other metros? Seattle, Milwaukee, Portland, San Jose, and Denver. Where are new listings falling the most? Nassau County, New York, Providence, Fort Lauderdale, and San Antonio. Interesting, right? So anyway, that's the national picture after we did our zip code level analysis. Hopefully that all helped. Yep. Interest rates coming down. You're right. They are. There will never be inventory anywhere. Really? That would be horrible. Oh, well, we saw a bunch of inventory today. Housing only goes up. No, that's crazy. That's not true. We saw a bunch of markets where home prices were falling. The market is on absolute fire right now. I guess we looked at markets where, Hank, we looked at markets today where prices were falling a lot and where prices are rising. We looked at both. So I guess it depends where you live. What is the housing nerd talking about? Sometimes I don't even know myself. The market is on fire nationwide, except maybe 2 tiny pockets of Florida. Housing is going to the moon this year. You can already see demand exploding right now. Huh. I don't know, man. I don't agree with your take. The misinformation, untrue. Demand is skyrocketing right now. Open houses are lined up around the block, basically coast to coast right now. They are? Jeez. Well, I hope they are in my open house this weekend. Oh, you got one for me to do. I'll probably do it next week. And what else? Recession and distress are a thing of the past. They are? Come on, you can't say that. Assets will never decrease in value again. Man, you're like a cheerleader of cheerleaders. I don't know. I don't think I agree with you, Hank. I think Hank's not thinking right. I thought I was a cheerleader. Jeez. Okay. Well, I hope this helped because, we wanted to see areas where home prices are falling, markets where home prices are going up. I think we accomplished that. It really depends on your zip code, right? It really depends on your zip code. But I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share my video. I'll see you on the next Housing Nerd live update. And do me a favor, let me know if you like how I did all the zip codes right from the beginning or not, instead of a national, sweeping update. All right. I'm the Housing Nerd and I am out. OUT. Peace.